friend, and welcome to Discoverage 17.4 with Anne-Marie and Peter.
Hello, yes. We have a bit of...
Previously on Star Trek Discovery.
We've heard from the Llama God, who, I think various people let us know this, but I think he was the first, that it confirmed that dilithium is indeed not a fuel. Warp drives require a massive amount of power to generate a subspace field capable of moving a ship, and in Federation-type ships, only the energy created by a matter-antimatter reaction is capable of this. However, the reactions are also highly unstable, hence those pesky containment breach issues. And only dilithium crystals are capable of focusing that reaction into something that's actually useful.
Oh, okay. No, that makes sense.
So they are not fuel themselves, but are needed to transmute and use that fuel. They're kind of focusing lenses, aren't they?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Fair enough.
Cool. And we've heard from Puri.
Hello, orcs. Puri here to talk about People of Earth. No terrible metal song, or at least none that I could remember off the top of my head. I actually rather enjoyed this one. I know you guys were maybe a little down on it, although definitely not a not enjoy. But yeah, it kind of worked for me. Unlike you, I actually did enjoy the reunion, although admittedly it didn't occur to me at the time that yes, this is a heartfelt, teary reunion for Michael, who's been missing them for over a year, not knowing if they're alive or dead, whereas they've been missing Michael, not knowing if she's alive or dead, for about a few hours. So yeah, it doesn't quite well. Actually, it still works because it is still the thought of they don't know she's alive. They know she made the wormhole through, but whether she, for example, careened off a ship and went face first into a planet, they're just not sure. So, and possibly the soppy part of me likes these parts. The story itself, I did like when it started kicking off. The whole concept of this united Earth that's formed, and the fact that things they're looking at happened hundreds of years ago, they're really driving home the idea that a lot of time has passed. I did like the was it United Earth? Interestingly enough, it's actually technically United Earth might be something that predates the Federation. There's a reference to, it could be the Cager where no man has gone before. There's a reference to a United Earth space probe agency, which is, I think, now canonically thought of as one of the precursor agencies that eventually got rolled into Starfleet. So I kind of like the fact that they took that up again. Although, yes, it does, United Earth Defence Force does sound like a urinary tract infection. And I like the way the episode plotted out. I mean, I'm getting, for all that I say these are a bit one and done, I'm actually getting the idea that it's going to be kind of one of these things where everything's going to be coming back to bite them, or possibly coming back to help them. We don't know. I liked the idea of them eventually, and again, quite good Saru and Michael moments of getting them actually negotiating and finding out that, in fact, yes, this series, the people who were waiting are actually were in fact the whole time people from, was it Saturn, Titan? So yeah, and indeed that there are colonies. So we could come back in a while and find that yes, United Earth has suddenly looked outside and found that it's got a whole load of colonies in the solar system. That would be interesting, and that they've formed like an Earth Systems alliance, perhaps. So I do like. I mean, as I say, we're learning about the universe here. We're still finding things out, and I'm just interested to see where it goes. So yeah, I mean that's about all for me really on this. Our new character, I think they look interesting, and it'll be interesting to see how we're dealing with the Trill, and if they'll stay Trill, or if it'll be reclaimed, possibly through incompatibility with the human host. Although we did see, I think in the trailers we did see the cave set and the pits again, so I've grown nostalgic for the cave set, so hopefully we get something, a Discovery era cave set. I look forward to that. So all that remains to say is thanks for doing this. I always look forward to the podcast, and I'll hopefully be back in the next, but until then, bye for now.
Bye, Puri! Well,
predicting.
Lots of good news for you tonight, Puri!
Yes. Are we going to have the tune Back to the Cave?
We can reuse an old Deep Space Nine jingle. It makes me very happy, yes. And I'm sure the soppy part of you will have enjoyed tonight's episode as well.
I blubbed.
Oh dear, yes. Yeah, just a quick check on Memory Alpha reveals that United Earth is indeed a thing from after First Contact, basically, and is also referenced in Enterprise. But let's move on to tonight's episode, shall we? Which is Forget Me Not.
Which you had said, some poppy thing.
Yes, I was trying to think of the episode, and yes. Yeah, it's all about remembrance this time of year, so that's why my brain went to Poppy Place. Sorry about that.
Adira, we have to be clear. No one's ever seen a human host. There's no way of knowing if the Trill will be able or willing to assist you.
So I could go and it could be a bust and no one gets what they need. I don't get my memories, you don't get Senatol's message, and you never find Federation headquarters.
Is there any way of knowing if the Trill are as peaceful as they were a millennia ago?
No. That is also a risk.
I can't keep living like this, not knowing who I am. Let's go to Trill.
Judging by the recap, you immediately think, oh, Detmer Watch may be coming to a head in this episode, and yes, that is indeed the case. We see more annoying robots doing repairs. They're just trolling me now, I swear. Dr. Cobra is reflecting on the perilous mental state of the whole crew.
Yeah.
And a doctor's log. It's quite cool. They decide to take Adira to Trill, but Dr. Pollard warns they may be reluctant to help, since Adira is human, which turns out to be somewhat prophetic, to say the least. Great to see Pollard working alongside Cobra still. Too many Starfleet ships only seem to have a chief medical officer and no other doctors, which made no sense at all.
No.
Whereas, we've got at least 2 doctors here, and they regularly appear, which is good stuff.
And also, Dr. Pollard seems pretty senior as well. Like, Culber can trust her. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Can properly, he can have breaks, and
Yes.
she's in charge, and it's normal, like what you would expect.
You think in Next Generation, it was always Crusher.
It was, wasn't it?
It's like, there's no other doctors aboard this. Occasionally you got Dr. what was the Vulcan?
Salar?
Salar was referenced, but only...
Referenced but never seen.
Yeah.
And
Well,
half the time
once.
it was just Nurse Agawa and no other bugger.
Yeah. Anyway, they spore jump again to Trill. Dear. They do address the jumping. It's on the basis of the scarcity of dilithium, which is fine, except what about May and the damage to the mycelial network? I think she's going to return with one hell of a temper on her, but quite understandably as well. They really ought to reference that,
Yeah.
Commissioner Voss from Trill holographically hails. It looks like your standard Deep Space Nine Trill.
Yeah.
He's played by Andrew Shaver, who had a small role in Arrival.
Oh, okay.
He's very happy to see that they're getting a symbiont back, as a lot of them were lost in the burn. Saru is worried about Stamets, since they're completely reliant on him to jump.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Tilly suggests using a dark matter solution. But he's back to being snotty again, sadly.
Yeah.
We have a long, dull scene with Cobra and Michael, where he says that despite Saru's previous order, it should be her that goes down to Trill with Adira, for reasons. The actual reason being, of course, that this episode has to revolve around Michael as she's the star.
Yeah.
It's rather
It
like...
would have been nice to see Culber go
Exactly.
down, I think.
It ought to have been a medical person, oughtn't it? But no, because... I mean, in previous Trek series, it would have been the captain, for no good reason, let's face it.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, it's the first officer, which is slightly more justifiable. But again, no, I mean, as Saru said, it should have really been Dr. Culber.
It should have, and it would have been nice. I would have liked it.
Yeah. Saru has had the chance to outfit the ready room to his tastes. When I say ready room, it's the big old conference room thing that Pike was using, rather than the proper ready room off the bridge that Lorca had, which then got used as a lab last season. Heaven knows what they're doing with it now. He's probably just got loads of plants in there now.
Yeah, it's his greenhouse.
Yeah. He's got some of his plants in his ready conference room place. And a big print of his homeworld, I think, is at the far end. Culber brings him up to date with the perilous mental state of the crew. Michael and Adira shuttle down to Trill. Not sure why they don't beam down, other than for plot reasons, because it would be a quick escape otherwise, wouldn't it? They meet Guardian Z, who's played by Andreas Apergis, who was Colonel Sanders.
What? As in the chicken?
No, in X-Men.
KFC! That's his name! He's not Guardian Z, he's KFC.
He was in X-Men Days of Future Past.
He's KFC?
Admittedly, I can't remember a Colonel Sanders in that, but
No.
I'm sure I would have done with his big bucket of chicken. But there you go.
Exactly.
We also meet Leader Pav. Cue much confusion when they realise that it's a human that is a host. And it's nice to see that there's disagreements amongst the Trill as to what to do. Normally, they're an alien race and they're all agreed on whatever.
Yeah.
But
But you've got the yellow people, the red people, and the white people.
yeah, they are
Clearly.
slightly colour-coded, aren't they?
I'm not being funny, it just made me think of fucking Space Lego.
It made me think more of the original series of Trek, actually, which I suspect
I
was what
just
they were
went to
going
a Space
for.
Lego place with the white men and the yellow men and the red men, sorry.
Anyway, Pav decides they have to be cast out from Trill, which is better than the forced separation that Voss was suggesting.
Yeah.
And he does indeed go on to try just that. Michael phases their assailants, hopefully on stun. Well, certainly one of them comes back.
Well, yeah, they come back, so yeah.
And forces Voss to take them to the caves. Z then arrives to take him there, as he wants the symbiont to survive.
He's not Z, he's KFC.
Saru is asking for how to keep his crew sane. One of the suggestions the computer makes is therapeutic colouring books.
I love that.
I'm going to do dot to dot or something. Wow. Surprised he didn't suggest, 1,000-piece jigsaws or something. Then the computer throws a wobbly and starts laughing and talking in a new voice.
Yeah, it made me think of that Babylon 5 episode with Garibaldi when it's a different personality.
Apparently Buster Keaton and giving the crew the night off is the answer. The whole crew? Okay. Yay! Not a bad update, the old Deep Space Nine set.
Yeah.
And we see a symbiont swimming in one of the pools, which is a nice touch as well. Saru invites the senior crew to dinner, and the rest of the crew all have the night off. So who's driving the boat? Who's driving the boat?
It's on autopilot, that's what the
Yes, they did say it was going up, but that does seem a bit odd, doesn't it? I mean, do they not have crew rotations on Discovery? They
would
do by
think.
Next Generation.
Well, again, though, we know they're short, though, aren't they?
I suppose maybe they don't for that reason. Giorgio interrupts his speech, playing with her food. He asks that they all say aye, which really isn't as effective as so-so all, but there we go.
No.
It is Trek. Detmer still isn't right, and Stamets and Tilly are still at odds.
Yeah.
Back on Trill, Adira is dressed in the same sort of robe that Jadzia wore, which is a nice touch.
Yeah, I like that.
And she gets in the pool, and then her eyes go all freaky zombie blank. Ugh.
Yeah.
No, that's Bright Eyes.
No,
but
I know, but she has white eyes.
She does, yes. The dinner party turns into a haiku, is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Competition. Not at all annoying.
Makes me think of Hunt for the Wilder People.
Yes. Annoying. Tilly wins with the one about puking. It has
Oh,
to,
yeah,
so,
that was brilliant.
Detmer freaks out. It's the pressure of... Very good. Not sure if you've had that one or not. It's the pressure of flying the ship, apparently.
Which I can understand.
And there's a whole lot of storming out of the room that goes on.
Yeah.
And finally, Giorgio leaves with the wine.
I love that. I love that.
She's just great comic relief, isn't she, this season?
She's brilliant. And she starts eating before everybody else
Yeah.
does and then sort of drops her fork. And no, I like her in this. And also, she's not impressed with Buster Keaton.
Yeah. Pav and the guards turn up as Adira begins to convulse and sinks into the goo. Timing. They let Michael search for her in the pool. Lots of threads attach themselves to Adira, and she starts to get her memories.
Now, this reminded me of something, and I was trying to remember what it was it reminded me of. It was somebody going in a thing and connecting, and I think it might have been... Was it the mycelial network?
Could have been. Yeah, they do have a tendency to sort of draw back from the pool of effects a bit and just tweak them, so...
Yeah.
Although I think this looks suitably different. It didn't bother me too much. Memories include a boyfriend, Grey, who received the symbiont before her. There's a big splode. Grey is injured and a bunch of Star Wars droids turn up. Well, at least it's the far future now, so the tech can be advanced. And it doesn't matter that we haven't seen them before. But
to be honest, though, when they all turn up and they're looking down at the two of them, I was surprised they didn't go, they've just given up the will to live.
yeah, I know.
But here's two random
Again,
babies.
it's way too Star Wars whenever these
Isn't
damn
it? But
droids turn up.
I see what you've been saying all along, but it hasn't annoyed me to the same level it did with that scene, because that's totally where I went to, is Padme's unnecessary and ridiculous nonsensical death blatantly written by a man.
Just because you can do a thing effects-wise doesn't mean to say you should. And
But it was the
droids
way
do
it
not...
was all framed and everything.
Yeah,
It
droids
was...
should not be in Trek. I'm sorry. That is the hill on which I will die. So anyway, this is how she ends up with the symbiont. Former hosts turn up, including Admiral Tal, who's played by Kenneth Walsh. Not sure if I've mentioned that before, because his voice was on the previous episode.
I recognised him.
Yeah, well, he's been in Twin Peaks, a recurring role in that. The Expanse.
Ah, that would be where I'm recognising him from. Who is he in The Expanse?
Oh, I can tell you, because I think I've still got the IMDb page open, and in The Expanse he was... Because he's had a long career, so now I've got to fast forward back to relatively near future. By the way, if you're interested in The Expanse, then do listen into the podcast on Rogue 2 Media that Andy and Elton do.
Yes, Into the Expanse. All of they've covered all the episodes that have aired to date, and then the Expanse itself comes back. I think it's the 4th of December, and they will then be covering it with Into the Expanse again. It's a great podcast. I do recommend it.
Curse you, Kenneth Walsh, for having such a long career, and curse you, fireworks, for still going on after November the 5th. Mm-hmm. He's been in a film called Wet Bum, which I kind of want to watch just because of the name of it. But yes, he's Franklin de Graaf, apparently. If that means anything to you.
It means nothing to me. This means nothing to me. Oh, Vienna.
No.
There you are.
I would need a picture and some kind of reference. I'm like, Andy will know. Andy will tell us. Remind me, Andy, who's Franklin de Graaf?
Did I mention he was in The Middleman as well? Middleman! There we are. I have now. We also see Adira's boyfriend, which is actually quite emotional, considering we've only just met them a few minutes ago. It's like sort of being reunited. So well done those actors, basically.
Yeah.
Carrying that. Adira is now able to speak all her names, which is enough to convince the Trills that she's now kosher. She even gets an apology. But she decides to stay with Discovery to share her knowledge with them. So that kind of makes some sense. Fair enough.
Yeah, it does. But also, like, it's the history, isn't it? That because they say that the symbionts carry Trill history, but it isn't just Trill history. And she says this is to be shared, which I like as an idea.
Yeah. Tilly thanks Saru for trying to get the crew together, bless her. And then Stamets turns up and apologises to her, quite right too.
Yeah, but it's not everybody would. And I like that he does. Yeah. He needs to, but not just that he needs to doesn't mean that everybody would.
Detmer goes to sickbay and admits to Culber that she's not okay.
Which is good, and I'm glad that they're looking at this trauma stuff. I'm glad it is trauma.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that they're, even if we don't see everything that's going on, I'm glad they're acknowledging that trauma happens. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's good.
Then they go to the shuttle bay to watch a Buster Keaton film. Which is not to everybody's taste, I think it's fair to say. Although at least Giorgio gets some popcorn out of it. There's definitely something between her and Linus.
Yes.
They seem to be building up some sort of relationship here, which is rather wonderful.
Yes. And I love the way that she reluctantly accepts the popcorn sort of with a sigh. Like, I'm not going to enjoy the movie, but at least I can enjoy the snacks.
Yeah.
Same as I'm not going to enjoy, being with the people for dinner, but the food's all right and I like the wine.
Yeah. Anyway, they say all available crew report, which is far more sensible. So presumably we've still got some people flying the ship at this point.
Yeah, well, hopefully there'll be another showing.
Exactly, they ought to be able to organise that, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Stamets gives Detmer a hug, which is kind of sweet.
Yeah.
Saru has worked out that, because of course it wasn't him that came up with this idea, but it was the computer, that it's the sphere data somehow interacting with the computer, so possibly a step towards the discovery of the far future we saw in that minisode.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a development of AI, which is cool.
Yeah. Gray appears to Adira, but can't explain how he's appearing. Oh no, it's Head Gray. That's a Battlestar Galactica reference, folks.
Is it the Shankara? Or is that a Klingon one? There was a ritual, wasn't there?
Yeah.
That Jadzia had to go through to see her hosts and be able to interact with them, and then Curzon merged with Odo. Well, maybe because Adira's human, that is working in a different way.
Maybe. It was another episode that started a bit slow, but aside from the little gripes about Michael being the one to go with Adira and those damn droids, it's a moving episode with nice links to Deep Space Nine and good stuff.
Yes.
Good stuff. Quite emotional.
My only criticism is that Trill is supposed to be purple.
No! Oh no! And it's not in this.
No.
See if I've got an old picture of Trill I can dig out. If not, I'll take one from memory, Alpha, and we'll put that on the Facebook.
But Jadzia makes a point of saying that the oceans should be more purple. And something, I can't remember what. But yes.
Yeah, it's just like Earth, doesn't it, in this? Which is
it's purple. Where did all the purple go? Did it go in the burn?
Oh no! That was all
That's
the
a
purple
tragedy.
burned up as
Purple burn. No.
So just to pull the curtain back a bit, we were we record the our thoughts one night and then do the feedback the next, and in the in-between time did a bit of research. Turns out Trill in Deep Space Nine looked, well, pretty much like it does in this, actually. So all Jadzia's stuff about the oceans being purple just didn't show up from orbit, sadly. Hey-ho, I know, such disappointment from Amory.
And we've heard from Andy, who writes, a couple of musings for this week's Discovery. Nice to see the cave set has had a bit of an upgrade. Really enjoyed the episode. I hope we start to see more of Zora coming through in the coming season. As you know, I love the Calypso short. Small missed opportunity when we got to see the previous hosts of Tull. While it was nice to see one of them wearing the Picard era uniform, imagine if they'd been wearing a TNG or Voyager era one. It would have been amazing and really helped tie Legacy Trek with the more recent eras. Still, hopefully next time, and huge props to how they had Colbert and Detmer address mental health and not just mental well-being. Having her answer no to Are You OK was great to see acknowledged, and hopefully they will continue to address throughout. I adored everything between Adira and Grey and cannot wait to see how they explore this. Yeah.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. And we've heard from Doreen. I enjoyed this episode a lot more than last week's. Given I think this was filmed before lockdown, it seemed very apt. But I guess during COVID times we can't have big gratitude meal like Saru had. But it depends if the whole of the crew of Disco are in one huge bubble or not. Wouldn't be much of a bubble, would it?
Well, that's how they do film crews.
This is true. I am slightly worried about what is happening to the computer. I tend to be a glass half empty person, so I think I will wait for more data before making up my mind about this new development. Yeah, no, I definitely think we're going towards Zora in the future, but there we are.
We all adore us, Zora.
Yes, awesome thing. And we also heard, our friend Jeff, the Songullion, tweeted, if the burn is in any way related to Burnham, all goodwill is gone.
Yes.
So please, no. Don't let that be the reason it's called that.
I do hope not. What did Martin make of this?
It's Martin here with some thoughts on Forget-Me-Nots, the latest episode of Discovery, which answers us a few questions. Firstly, why does Discovery have such a narrow loading bay? And it appears to be so they can show widescreen movies, as they showed at the end there. And it looks like Linus survives as well, which is nice to see. And my one laugh out loud moment of the episode was seeing him handing Giorgio some popcorn right at the end there, which was really nice. A bit of a budding friendship there, perhaps we can see, but she's not really anyone I think you'd want to get close to, particularly a species that she might be interested in eating. We also seem to discover out what's happened with Detmer. I think she's suffering from some kind of PTSD, which is, to be honest, I've been thinking that all along, that there's something, and perhaps it's, I mean, I don't know whether that'll come back to play later on, but obviously it was that idea of exploring mental health, and going to Culver was the hardest thing she should have that she could do. The dinner party for the bridge crew was quite a nice idea, although you have to say whether they wouldn't have preferred the night off rather than just a forced interaction. But it was a nice little bit, just like a little calming point in the storm, just to try to give everyone a bit of R&R in amongst everything. The sphere data also seems to have combined with Discovery's computer, and I'm wondering if that's what's going to lead us to Calypso. I think it was Calypso, wasn't it, where we found Discovery floating in 1,000 years into the future with the kind of the sentient computer. So I suppose that's still in the future, isn't it? Right. Well, we got down onto Trill in the main part of this episode, and it's Adira and collecting all the Trill hosts. I have to say, I did like the beginning. It was nice for them to be welcomed onto Trill for once, but yeah, that soon turns a bit ugly, doesn't it? But I think it turned out well in the end, didn't it? With everybody kind of seemed to welcome Adira in and everything, and obviously we see Michael acting a bit unstarfleet, which is obviously due to her year off. So yeah, it's another twist to the performance, and obviously Sonequa Martin Green is brilliant, as we've seen all along. So it'd be interesting to see how that's incorporated. as well further as we get into the series, and whether or not that will get them into trouble. Also, now that Adira has these can fully recover her memories, I wouldn't mind betting that will get them out of a few scrapes. As well, there'll be some memory of one of the former hosts that they'll help Discovery out of a jam. But yeah, generally I don't have an awful lot to say about this, but it was just a beautiful episode. I thought some of those sequences were brilliant, and recovering her memories. So I'm sure better people than me will have more significant things to say about this episode, and its portrayal of the non-binary actors involved. But yeah, I think that's everything I want to say at the moment. Again, this was a really enjoyable episode, and we do get a little trailer about where it might be heading next week. So there does seem to be a theme here. So anyway, I'm looking forward to the next week. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Martins.
Thank you. Yes, Michael was being un-Starfleet in the way she took those people down.
They're very badass all the same.
Yes, and it was good to see. And I hadn't realised that's where the cargo bay is that shape, so they could watch widescreen.
Yes, what aspect ratio is your cargo bay? It's when they have watching classic Doctor Who episodes, they have to reconfigure it completely, but never mind. And yes, I too am looking forward to the Giorgio and Linus show, which definitely has to happen. Definitely.
Yeah. Just as long as it's not a cookery show.
Yeah. Wouldn't be particularly interested in a cookery show, but that might just swing it. I don't know.
Oh, I'm just thinking of she might eat him.
Well, no, not that sort of cookery show. Definitely not.
No.
And we've heard from the Llama God.
Lamagaslag, Scottate, Fika, Cheer, Unyig. We're back in the cave set. Now, before I go any further with this review of this week's episode of Discovery, I'm going to point out the thing that's most unforgivable about this episode, the thing that brings probably the most contentious new crew member on board the ship itself, and there's been a lot of negative comments said about it. And, of course, I am speaking about the bloody repair droid. Yeah, we've seen on the outside of the ship loads of times. We see loads in the start of this episode. We're actually seeing them in the corridors. How long is it going to be until we actually get one of the main cast members with a comedy robot sidekick? Yeah, that's not Star Trek, that's Star Wars. But anyway, that's just a small gripe, because really this is an absolutely beautiful episode of Star Trek, and it really is Star Trek. This is an episode about acceptance on a number of different levels, and it's really perfect and what we need right now. So there's obviously a couple of strands to this one. We've got the journey to Trill, and it was great to actually see the Trill homeward again, see it slightly better realised. We're back in the caves. It's not the same caves from Deep Space Nine, unfortunately. We couldn't bring those ones back. But yeah, cave set, but just, done a little bit better than it was during the Deep Space Nine era. Now, I'm sure that some people will be a bit upset about the fact it all went a bit mystical and spooky and stuff when they went into the swimming pool and then into another dimension or something, but I mean, that was just a representation of what was going on in their minds, was something that's what they would have done, I'm pretty sure, in the Deep Space Nine era if they'd actually had the budget and capability to do it. So yeah, I'm not going to quibble about any of that at all. I did actually wonder whether the exteriors of the Trill planet were filmed on the Tillman Reclamation Plant again, because they look fairly similar, but then given this is mostly filmed around Toronto, I think that's not a possibility. Do point out that a lot of the design elements on Trill are very Asian influenced, and in fact some of the names of the Trill symbionts, we've had a lot of monosyllabic names before. I mean, the only one I can remember is Dax, and we have here as well, we've got Tell and a couple of others. We also have She, which is very Chinese sounding, but we don't actually have any Asian actors at all representing the hosts, which is notable. But yeah, I mean, just a great scene of reconnection, coming to terms with traumatic memories, and honestly the scenes between Adira and Gray are beautiful. Even though we only met Adira last episode and Gray is a character we didn't know, the performances were just so fantastic that fell for them instantly, and they make a lovely couple. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the pair of them, whether Gray's going to be a constant, almost a head Gray, and whether it's something that Adira struggles with or not, or whether they just won't be there at all. So it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. But again, there's a beautiful storyline there. And on the ship we have Saru continuing to be probably the best captain that we've seen for a very long time, making the mistake, of course, of actually holding a proper dinner party. As we've seen in previous iterations of Star Trek, don't hold dinner parties, they always go badly, especially if you invite the Klingons. But again, even though the dinner party goes badly, it turned out to be exactly what they needed, and this is actually great. This is something that Star Trek hasn't done particularly well before. This is dealing with actual trauma in a way that's much better than any Star Trek would have dealt with, especially better than the Next Generation would have dealt with, where we had Roddenberry's ideals that humans would move past the need for trauma or something like that. It's like, no, we're still human beings, human animals, and we will need to process things. The fact is recognised the crew is in a state of high trauma, and the fact that Detmer's wobbles turn out to be just, and it's not just at all, but turn out to be that, not some sort of malign alien control or anything, but it is that they're all suffering a trauma, and that they need time to recover from it. I mean, that's absolutely great, and I'm really glad to see Star Trek dealing with those issues, that no matter how much you strive, there are going to be events that are going to be traumatic and do damage, and you're going to need time to recover from them, and that there needs to be acceptance of that, and understanding that there's a process of grief and moving on that people people need to go through. So, yeah, I love that they actually dealt with that in this episode, because this is something that's been sorely missing from Star Trek before, apart from the odd instance, which even then is brushed over quite quickly. I mean, just look at Family, great episode, but move past by the next one. And I can even forgive the use of the silent movie at the end of the episode. I mean, yeah, that does fall into the somewhat Star Trek-y trope of seeming to show that there is actually no culture past the 20th century, which, you know, at the moment remains concerning. But at least the ship's computer, which again is the sphere, is like, oh god, is that coming back? No, it seems like it's just mere benign influence. So yeah, no, that's good. There was a good reason given for them using a silent movie, and I'm quite happy for that. It wasn't just the default, there was only culture from the 20th century thing that Next Generation used to do so often. So yeah, no, that was good. But as I said in my feedback to the previous episode, which was about hope and rediscovering hope, this episode is just as timely, and with everything that's going on in the world right now, this week, this was actually the episode that we needed, because there is, right now, as of recording this, there is the glimmer of hope that things, they're not going to turn around. It feels like they might turn around, there's still a lot to come back from, and that's the important thing, is that there's a sign of hope, but it's not going to be overnight change. It's not going to get better, and everything's not going to be wonderful overnight. There's going to be a lot of pain for people to process, a lot of trauma that people have gone through, and things still aren't right, and not going to be right for a very long time. And the fact that this episode speaks to that is so incredibly timely and powerful, and this is exactly what Star Trek should be doing, and this is exactly the right TV that we need to be seeing at exactly this moment. And yeah, this is why this is just perfect Star Trek. This is Star Trek as it should be, and I honestly can't say enough good things about this episode right now. Even though, I don't know, some people might think that it's a slow, talky character piece, this is just so very important. Yeah, as you can tell, I absolutely loved it, and I loved the interaction between the characters, them getting things off their chests and coming together again, Tilly being brilliant and Tilly. It was kind of nice to see Stamets go back to his old ways, but then come around again, and Culver just being absolutely perfect. Yes, yeah, loving it, loved all of this so much. So, as ever, I'll be looking forward to seeing what everyone else has made of these. I'm hoping that other people find them as relevant, as important as I am, and if not, well, it's always good to find out why, isn't it? I hope everyone's looking after themselves as things are unfolding right now, and until next time, glory to you and your trust.
Thank you, sir. Yes, it is timely, and that it's giving you hope, but not pretending that, yay, it's all solved now.
Yes, not all solved overnight, indeed. Those things never are. But yes, I'm glad it's not just me that's annoyed on the anti-droid front as well. It's not just me being crazy about these things. Good. Maybe it's just me and Lama. I don't know. But anyway.
Well, I did find it, like I said, with the scene with the symbiont and the droids in that did piss me off.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe there's three of us, at least.
Cool. Well, hopefully they won't make much of an appearance in the next episode, but who can say? Yeah. But that was completely great. You know, fantastic episode.
Yeah,
and
it was brilliant.
Looking forward to seeing how Adira pans out.
Yes.
Although I can't say Adira without thinking Londo. Adira! But anyway, hopefully she'll have a better fate. But
yeah. And head grey, yes, absolutely. I want to find out if this is a head grey or something else.
Yes. Okay, right. The next episode is called Die Trying.
Oh.
Yes. Blimey, Charlie. So we'll be covering that recording next Saturday. If you'd like to send your thoughts in, or if you'd like to send in your thoughts on this episode, feel free to do so and we'll include them next time.
Yeah.
Take care. Cheery bye.
Cheery bye.
With thanks to Andy Palastides for the Borgcast Discovery artwork. All music referenced is for illustrative purposes only, and no copyright infringement is intended.
Find our website at borgcast.libsyn.com.
We have a Facebook page, and we have a YouTube channel as well.
You can find the Borgcast playouts on Spotify for your listening pleasure.
Visit our Tumblr site at borgcast.tumblr.com, where you'll find images accompanying the episodes discussed in this cast.
Send emails or MP3s to borgcast@gmail.com.
Or you can contact us via Twitter on rev_org or borgcastammo. Hashtag Borgcast.
Shut it down!
Bollocks.